Your characters drives your story. It's through your characters that your viewer interacts with your story. I am Isaac, and this is How to Write a Screenplay, a step-by-step guide. Characters drives your story, and it's through your characters that your viewer can interact with your story. This interaction should occur when your viewer is watching your characters on the screen, what they do, what they say, what they are willing to do, what they are not willing to do, as well as the interaction with other characters on the screen. Now, a word of warning. Drive your character of the story, especially your main characters, and you will lose your viewer. You see, the thing is, everything that happens to your characters, especially your main characters, must have something to do with the main idea behind your story. I say again, everything your characters do must have some connection to the main idea of your story. This point is very important, because if your character should suddenly do something on screen that has nothing to do with your story, or if your character can suddenly do something that your viewer cannot understand how it is possible, their attention will be drawn away from your characters and your story, because it will go to that question: what just happened? How did it happen? How is it possible? And they would like to try and figure that out instead of following your story, following your characters on the screen. Everything your character does on screen must have a connection to the main idea behind your story, and as to what the character could do and could not do when the story started. It is important because there must be a reason behind why your character do something, why your character would not do something, and why your character can suddenly do something. If that is not explained in your story on the screen, your viewer will be confused the whole time. Say, for example, when your story started and the viewer was introduced to your main character, especially your hero, and that person was a weakling who just got bullied by everyone. And suddenly, that same weakling starts beating up the bully or the bullies without an explanation. What do you think your viewer will think? What do you think your viewer will ask? If there's no reason as to why that character can suddenly do that. The question is, how will your viewer believe it if your main character can suddenly do something that he or she could not do before, and no reason is given for it? How are they supposed to believe it? How do you think they are supposed to believe that? Are your viewers suddenly supposed to accept that your character overnight grew a backbone, or that your character suddenly became super strong overnight, or that your character suddenly knows how to beat up the bully? If you don't give him or her a reason as to why that character can suddenly do that. In the film Back to the Future, you suddenly see a weak character beat up the bully who was bullying him throughout the entire movie, throughout the entire story. And when that happened, we who were watching that film cheered for him. We cheered for him. We were happy for him. But how could he do it? That he suddenly becomes strong enough to beat up the bully. That he suddenly becomes a good fighter to beat up the bully. No, nothing so dramatic. What happened was that the bully attacked the girl he was in love with. And when he wanted to intervene, the bully grabbed his arm and wringed it behind his back. And he was helpless. You could see the pain on his face. And when this girl tried to intervene, the bully put his hand in her face and pushed her down. And this girl looked at the guy who was in pain. The guy, this weakling, looked at that girl. Now imagine what went through his mind at that time. I'm a weakling. I'm useless. I can't even help the girl I'm in love with. But then, something also happened earlier in the film. You see, the hero of the film told this weakling that the bullying won't stop until he stood up for himself. And at that moment, when that girl looked into his eyes, basically screaming at him to do something without saying a word. And this guy, knowing what the bully will do to that girl, when the bully was done with him, he gathered all his strength, all that hatred for that guy came up in him. And as he clenched his fist, you could see on his face what was going on in his mind. Should I? Can I? What will happen if I don't get this right? You can see it on his eye, in his eyes, on his face. And when he hit that bully, just imagine with what he hit that bully. Not because of that girl the bully hurt. No, it was more than that. It was all the bullying, all the degrading words that they said to him, the hatred he had for that bully, and the reminder of what the hero said to him. If you don't stand up for yourself, this bullying will continue. It was with all that hate, all that frustration. And then there was this girl, the girl he was in love with, looking into his eyes and telling him, do something. It was with all that he hit that bully. It was all that gave him the power to be able to do what he did. There must be a reason for your character's actions in your story. Without that reason, your viewer won't be able to understand why and how your character can suddenly do something. So let's look at the guy's reasons again. Number one, he was bullied throughout the film. Number two, he was in love with a special girl. And that girl didn't even give him the time of day. Number three, the hero of the film told him in the course of the film that if he don't stand up to the bully, it will continue forever. Number four, when that bully heard the girl he loved, and that girl looked at him saying with her eyes, do something, don't be a weakling. All that hate, all that frustration, all that wishing to protect himself, and now to be able to protect this girl, gave him the strength to do what he did in the film. There must be a reason why your character do something, why your character would not do something and why your character can suddenly do something. I am Isaac, and this is How to Write a Screenplay, a step-by-step guide. In the next episode, I will continue looking at characters, especially your main characters. Until next time, good writing.